These two gentlemen are researchers at the Center for Air and Space Power Strategic Studies, Air Command and Staff College at Meguro Base in Tokyo, and they will be presenting on small drones and if they pose a new threat to the battlefield. Please.
Hi there. Hello. Well, actually, we've got product code video, so you can please just show the videos.
I am Major Tsuchimochi, a researcher at the Center for Air and Space Power Strategic Studies, the JASTF. I will give a presentation titled Small Drones Poses a New Threat to the Battlefield. This presentation will address small drones, the so-called IEDs in the sky, and will analyze the current situation in which it is increasingly becoming difficult for airbase-based warfare and traditional air defense systems to cope with. Before moving on to the presentation, I would like to stress that the views and opinions expressed here are those of the speakers and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, the Ministry of Defense, or the Government of Japan. First, I will explain the classification of unmanned aerial vehicles. There are numerous types of UAVs, from small ones to large ones. Their classification methods differ between the US and NATO, but they are mainly based on the size of the UAV as shown in this slide. In this presentation, I will focus mainly on small drones shown in red frames here. Let us look at the characteristics of small drones to identify their particular threats. First, their very small size makes themselves hard to detect. The air defense systems designed for conventional large-sized aircraft will have huge difficulty detecting small drones. Second, they are low-priced. By utilizing commercially available toy drones and tools like 3D printers, you can produce and maintain a large number of drones at low cost. Also, there is a possibility that we will be cost-imposed in such cases where we are required to intercept incoming small drone attacks by missiles. Last, their flexibility. It is easy to modify them. Although their payload is small, by installing various sensors and explosives, they are quite versatile. They can be employed for various operations ranging from reconnaissance and attacks. Notably, technological advance has led to the production of smaller, more sophisticated sensors, making it possible to operate more flexibly. As for flying drones, we can control them from even beyond our visual range enabled by FPV cameras and pre-programming. Also, the advancement of swarm technology enables us to conduct simultaneous operations, employing many drones. While there are some small drones launched from launchers, there will be no need for a large-scale facility like an airfield to operate them. They can be deployed from anywhere, anytime. As already noted, small drones have characteristics not previously seen in the conventional air power, and they can pose a huge threat to air defense capability. Our conventional thinking is that an airborne threat comes from beyond the sea, but there is a possibility that infiltrated agents can launch attacks to military bases and other facilities. Also, small drones' low detectability makes it possible to carry out relatively silent and swift attacks. These factors might undermine our geographical advantage as a nation surrounded by sea. We tend to focus on the external world because of the fact that our nations are surrounded by the oceans, but it's time to revise our assumptions due to the emergence of drone threats. One of the disadvantages strength of air power is its large dependence on base support. The base infrastructure consists mainly of immobile facilities such as runways, navigation systems, and power sources. Air bases with airfields are located on large premises, and it makes them an especially easy target for attacks. Also, aircraft are vulnerable on the ground, however powerful in the air. Therefore, small drones could cause a huge disruption to aircraft operation instantly if they are navigated with precision. By installing explosives on commercially available drones, you can convert them into weapons very easily. You can also manufacture drones by using open source information from the internet and also 3D printers. 3D printers are not an effective tool for mass production, but by using these methods, you can operate a fair number of drones at very low cost. It is safe to assume that these drones can be quite difficult to be identified as a threat from their appearance. Therefore, the police can be prepared for containing them before their attack. We might not be able to tell whether it is a threat until it actually attacks us, which means we will have only a limited preparation time. For these reasons, small drones could be called air IED, enabling attacks with ease and efficiency, and making it possible to fight an asymmetric war. Here, I'd like to give you some notable examples of attacks by small drones. In January 2018, either Syrian militia or the ISIS launched an attack against a Russian base in Syria by using drones that had been modified from commercially available variety. This example made it clear that modified drones could be particularly useful in military operations. In December 2018, a small drone that broke into the runways of Gatwick Airport grounded aircraft for hours. This was not an attack against a military asset, but this example illustrates the impact of small drones on flight operation and tell us how vulnerable airfields are to small drones. In September 2019, there was a combined attack by cruise missiles and small drones against the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. Air defense systems that had been imported from the West were deployed, but they were not effective enough. This example shows how difficult it is to neutralize small drones. In March 2020, during the civil war in Libya, there was an attack perceived as an autonomous one by small drones. This is a good example that shows the flexibility of small drones by combining them with sensors and AI. In July 2020, there was an attempted attack against a transformer substitution in Pennsylvania in US. Fortunately, it ended up in failure, but this example is a reminder that not only military base but non-military infrastructure is exposed to the threat. In January 2022, the Houthis group attacked Yemen's capital Abu Dhabi. While larger types of drones were also used in these attacks, they show us how difficult it is to deal with drones. These are the examples of how to deal with small drones. What is crucial is to combine them. Various countries are now developing these methods, and as for Japan, we are planning to advance laser and EMP development going forward. However, even if we succeed in detecting small drones, the time left for us to deal with them would be very limited. After identifying them and measuring their threat level, Also, if attacks occurred against an airbase, to neutralize them would be very difficult because we need to define wide areas. And even if we succeeded in shooting down small drones, it would take time to check what they are carrying and to get rid of them. And this will likely to disrupt operation. Moreover, we also need to take into account secondary damage to outside the base. Therefore, it is important that we keep our system up and running even after receiving an attack. In other words, resilience in operation and mission assurance are necessary. Then, what should we do to improve resilience? Most of all, it is important to minimize damage. In other words, we should expect that there will be unavoidable damage from attacks and try to minimize it. With that in mind, first, we should maintain MOS by RADR. By swiftly assessing the damage to runways and applying necessary repair work, we can maintain MOS and bring the flight operation back to normal as quickly as possible. To protect aircraft in the apron, we could build bunkers or protect them by dispersal. If we are clearly aware of how much payload small drone can carry, we can expect that building bunkers will be very effective. Also, by protecting through dispersal, we can try to disperse damage. To supplement base functions, we could, for example, employ mobile air control systems ready for use in emergency, so that we could resume operations swiftly, even when navigation systems and power lines were damaged. Other countermeasures include launching drones from various mobile units, for example, aircraft, naval vessels, and road vehicles. They could supplement air power, or we can carry out attacks by taking advantage of geographical depths, using airborne refueling aircraft, AWACS, and so on. One of the characteristics of air power is its huge dependence on base functions. By taking these measures, we could reduce our dependence on a single airbase, and will be able to improve resilience. Not only for dealing with drones, these kinds of thinking would be extremely important to future air capability. Here, I'd like to sum up my presentation. Small drones are characterized by their low detectability, low price, and flexibility. By taking advantage of these characteristics, even a small drone could cause a major disruption to flight operation. Detecting and shooting down them would be extremely difficult. In order to limit the impact of the attack, we could adopt such flexible operations as maintaining MOS by RADR, building bunkers, and protection by dispersal, using mobile units to minimize damage, deploying drones from mobile units, and force projection from home front. With that, let me conclude my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Hope you can hear me. Thank you very much again. Now the microphone is working. What is like the threshold for a drone to be defined as a small drone? So how small are they?
Small
I
drone.
suppose, second slide, on the second slide, around less than 20 kilograms or what's the correct?
So as far as we're concerned, if your question is about how we categorize small drones,
Yeah.
we support the small drones less than 20 kilograms. That's what we say small drones. So small drones are less than 20 kilograms.
Okay, thank you. I would like to say thank you again to Tokyo and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference online. Bye-bye.
Bye.